Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to be doing a sniper recap, and I'm going to be telling you guys my new favorite setup with the sniper trading. Um, Pretty good setup. It allows you to go for a bigger risk reward. I know a lot of people struggle with the sniper strategy because they're going for 9 ticks of profit with a 21 tick stop loss, and with the slippage and fees, it's basically like you need to win 3 trades, and then if you lose one, you're back to break even. So this one actually is like a 1-to-1. So we're going for 23 ticks of profit with a 21 tick stop loss. From my few tests, it's about a 75 to 80% win rate. So we're going to be going over it. So what we're looking for is a TX bar. So that's just a trapped order. Okay. So that'd be a black detector. And then we're looking for a ZOI, which is a zone of interest. So it's these purple or blue shaded areas. Okay. And then we're looking for a cluster. So a cluster are these yellow things, which is just a volume, basically a volume node, right? So where there's a lot of fighting happening. Okay. And we look for all that in one. Okay, so I'll show you guys kind of what I'm saying here. So this is a trade I took this morning on one of my PA accounts. It has a volume cluster and a trapped order by the black detector here. Also kind of rejecting this ZOI, but ideally we don't want it to look like this. We want this right here to be rejecting the ZOI. So the cluster, this yellow thing, to be touching the purple or blue, right? So not perfect, but it's still not a bad trade. And we would have gone for, it's 5 bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's your profit. Okay. And if you lost, you would have lost if it went back above this bar. Okay. Also, it was rejecting off of this strong settlement level. So in my eyes, it didn't have to be absolutely perfect. Okay. Down here, we also had, this was a much more ideal one right here. Another thing to mention is you want this volume cluster on the wick, and preferably like on the trapped order box right here, this green box, or the red box if it was going down. So you don't want the cluster like up on the body. Okay. And again, we really want the cluster touching the ZOI, but it's within like a tick, so that's okay. This one, your entry, this would have been 1, 2, 3, 4 bars of profit, so not quite your 5. So if you went for 5, that would have lost. So something I would probably implement is a stop thing. So once it hits 20 ticks of profit, just put it to basically break even. You could even do like +1 for the fees or whatever. So once it hits basically 4 bars, it'll lock it in case it doesn't hit the 5. Because usually if it hits 4 and then starts to pull back on you, it's probably not going to hit 5. So better to be safe than sorry, I would say, right? So that one would have either been break even or a loss, right? But again, if you lose, you're only down to break even. It's not like you're down 3 trades now, right? And these are still high win rate when you get them all set up together. So keep scrolling until we find another trapped order here on a ZOI, a zone of interest. Okay, so we can kind of scroll pretty quickly. This one right here wouldn't count really because the cluster is on the body, right? And I actually would have lost anyway. That's why we want the cluster on the wick, and preferably as high or as low as it can be. So it's kind of pushing, right? You want it to be like it's pushing. Okay, so we'll keep scrolling here. Got pretty messy during the middle of the day. No, it picked up a little bit towards the end of the day though. A little bit. Here's another one, went for a few bars profit, but the cluster again is on the bar, which we don't like to see, right? So if you accidentally took it because it moved too fast, could have gotten a little bit maybe, but not what we're looking for. This one also wouldn't count, even though there's a zone of interest here. We want the cluster kind of like basically within a tick of that, or touching it. Okay. So again, we'll keep moving. There was one really good one I saw at the end of the day, so make sure you watch the rest of this to see. So, okay, so there's a couple right here. Okay. So this one, the cluster is at 67, and this is at 67.25, so that's within a tick. So it's not terrible. It's not great though, because we're kind of chopping around the settlement area. And if you did take this trade, I would have gotten out at this big level here just to be safe, right? So that would have been like 4 points. And then this is also one right here. Looks like it is, yeah. Or the cluster is actually 2 ticks away, but it's still pretty close. If you did take it, that would have won. But again, you want the cluster to basically be on the ZOI. You don't want the previous candles really to break through it, right? So we'll keep going. We haven't really found too many good ones today. So keep going, keep going. There's no ZOIs here that are for our trades. So here's one I marked out. This is a really, really beautiful one. So we have the purple zone of interest. We have a trapped order up here. We have a cluster on the trapped Xbox, which is what we want, right? It's on that wick, and it's on the ZOI. Exactly everything we want. That's basically a perfect trade. And it goes, there's your win, right? That's a perfect one, okay? Has everything we're looking for. Keep going. This one, I don't really like it when they form on the ZOIs form from the bar, and also the clusters on the body, so try to ignore those, okay? So we'll keep skipping. And the idea of this is you just kind of get your one trade and you're done for the day. So this morning I just took one scalp, and it wasn't a perfect trade, but luckily it did work, and I was done, right? So this is also another perfect trade. So we have a trapped order, right? Rejecting that ZOI perfectly to the tick. Cluster right on the Xbox. And what happens? We go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 5 bars. That's perfect, right? So a few perfect ones. We had like one potential full loss, but otherwise we've had like 4 winners. And remember, the winners are the same size after fees or slippage or whatever. So unless the market's moving too fast and it skips over your order, like this moved pretty fast, so it may, you would have gotten filled there because there's a wick on here, so would have tagged you most likely. But sometimes the market obviously moves too fast and you miss it, which is okay. And there's obviously lots of other setups you can take with Sniper. I just find this does help kind of, you know, keep it more simple. This one, this is hard. See, I don't love when the bar before it is formed, and also the clusters basically on the body. It's not really up on the wick. You'd want it towards the middle or top end of the wick. If you did take it, that's obviously a loss, right? So you can count as a loss. We've already had quite a few good trades today. But basically, the higher up the wick, or yeah, higher or lower up the wick that it is for the cluster, the yellow volume node, the better, right? These are just random sim trades I was taking, just testing stuff. Was there any other ones today? Looks like that might have been it. Yep, looks like that was it. So that's all I wanted to go over. So just keep in mind, I'll go back to one of the good ones here. You need a ZOI, so a zone of interest, which are the purple or blue boxes, shaded boxes on the chart. Okay, and then you need to have a cluster, which is the yellow volume node, which means there's a fight right? So you want it towards the bottom end of the wick if we're going up, or the top end of the wick if we're going down. And think about that as like an arrow, right? So I was trying to find that trade that's coming up, and then I want to explain it, right? Hold on. Okay, so here's the perfect trade. Think about the volume clusters as an arrow, right? So the further back you pull this arrow on the bow, when you let it go, it's going to go farther, right? If it's up here, if you only pull the, you know, the string back on the bow a little bit to here, if the volume cluster was there, then, and then you let it go, it might die out quickly, right? So think about the wick as kind of pulling back the bow, okay? When you pull back that bow a lot, and the wicks or the cluster is really far back, it's probably gonna go further, right? So that's really all I wanted to talk about. Really, really good setup, really high quality setup. Try it out. There's really no tutorial videos on it, so give it a try. Leave any comments, questions, concerns, whatever down below, and I'll see you guys later.